Hello guys, Sendou again. Today what we're gonna be talking about is the special that everyone has strong opinions about, and that special is of course Stingray, as you can see. So Stingray is kinda like this infamous special that everyone has been talking about a lot since the game came out, complained about a lot. But actually when the game first came out, it was not a strong special, right? Like when we were watching the World Championship for the first time being played in this game, Stingray was incredibly weak. And it wasn't until patch 1.3 that we see now here that this so-called Kamehameha wave came, and ever since Stingray was kind of like the one special that people were, most loud about and was defining the game a lot ever since. But the main point of this video is to explain why I don't feel that Stingray is anything special anymore. I think it might even be the weakest special in the game. And I will also explain why I think this will mean that heavy Splatlings will rise in popularity. But honestly, this is the most simple thing ever. When you watch this patch history, that's a lot of like red arrows. So for sure, they did a buff, and then they did like this is not really a buff, but basically 1.3 was the huge buffs to Stingray. But ever since, like when I was first playing Stingray in that patch, I know right away that this is too strong, that there's no way this is balanced. And yeah, eventually they like released like a nerf after nerf after nerf. And I think finally, it's like putting all those things together, we're finally like in a point where it really is not that strong special. And I think it's even easier to demonstrate in a game. So I think the first interesting thing to notice is that pretty much all the good Stingray weapons have a very high points for special. So Splatoscope is one of the better Stingray weapons, and 2-2-0. So that's a really high points for special for a weapon like this. So whenever I go for like whenever I start playing this weapon, like if I want to get my Stingray, it takes like forever to get with this kind of weapons. And these high points for specials are kind of like, there was one of the attempts as like balancing Stingray. But now when Stingray isn't really all that strong, they also kind of like, still there. It's kind of like an Inkjet situation, where Inkjet was super strong at one point, and then they released all the high points for special values, such as D-Deck gets U30. And then when they nerf nerf Inkjet, and then those high points of special values still existed. So it's kind of like the same thing here. Like if I want to get a Stingray with Splatoscope, it's very unlikely that I'm gonna have it when I would most need it. And I think the even bigger thing about the special is that it's just really hard to get like a solo kill with it anymore. So there used to be a time where when I pop Stingray, it pretty much, like I was saying, if you don't get like a 1 or 2 kills of Stingray when you use it, you probably like throwing. But now it's actually extremely hard to get Stingray kills. And we have some really amazing Stingray users like Brian and Alexei, and there's a lot of good players that have been using Stingray for a long time. They really know how to use the specials, and they're like saying the same thing. It's not really like the same thing to get kills with Stingray anymore. So instead, how you should be using Stingray is kind of like, weakening enemies and, working with your teammates to get a kill. But then again, like, that's just isn't so strong. So what is also a thing with Stingray, that was a thing even when it was strong, was that whenever I use Stingray, if I can actually get it with this high points of special value. So whenever I get my Stingray and I start using it, basically what you notice is that I'm stuck in the Stingray. So it doesn't matter what happens, I have to wait out till the timer is over, and then I can start using my main weapon again. In addition, I have to be far away from my targets, so I have to be like optimally as far away from them as possible. So combining those both things, think about something like a Cloud, for example, which I'm not gonna be able to get with this weapon, but you can imagine me using Cloud. Boom, I use Cloud, and then I'm already using my my main weapon. And that's always something to keep in mind, and that was almost I was acting against Stingray, but it didn't matter when you were getting like huge amount of solo kills. And now you're not dealing so much damage, and you have the armors and you have everything to kind of like work against, Stingray, in the sense that it's just really hard to get anything done with it. And you don't get it so often, you're not really dealing any damage, you have to use it from far away, it's really accurate to use. So you might ask, well, it's still strong for something special, for Rainmaker and Tower Control. And you're not wrong exactly, but at the same time, like, the more they lessen the damage of Stingray, the more they lessen the duration, the easier it's to actually evade the Stingray. So now it's mostly like, to me, feels like it's latency dependent, if a Stingray gets a kill or not. If there is no latency, I think avoiding a Stingray, assuming you don't get rushed, otherwise it's extremely simple. And for something like Tower Control, and this actually ties nicely to the next topic I'm gonna talk about. I'm not sure if Stingray is even the strongest special we have to stop the tower anymore. So we have this thing called Heavy Splatling Remix. It has this thing called Booyah Bomb. So once again, like, if you can think of like a game of tower control, with the mods, Booyah Bomb is easier to use. It forces everyone off the tower right away. And yeah, in the same way, it's not like necessarily gonna get kills or anything, but it works kind of like in the same way, in my opinion. Like, you can use it in defense. It works better for clan blitz and so on. So you have these like different options, and that's not the only option. You also have stuff like, Cloud. Also good for, say, tower control. They're on the checkpoint, you throw the Cloud. Well, they can stay on tower, but they're gonna be so weak, it's very simple for any of your teammates to finish them. So that's the biggest thing why I think Heavy Splatling is gonna actually raise in popularity, simply this kit right here, because Booyah Bomb is pretty good for the weapon. I don't think we're gonna see Stingray that much, so when we're gonna go look at Spatoscope kits, if we can just find the weapon here, but yeah, we have Splat Bomb Stingray. This used to be a godlike kit, but now I don't know about Stingray anymore. Then we have Splash Wall, Bomb Rush. Once again, Bomb Rush in this game is nothing crazy. Like, it's an alright kit, but nothing great. Like, we even got to a point where people are playing this damn thing. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, we had a short period of time we saw a lot of Genza chargers, and that to me was kind of funny, because it felt like charger mains were kind of like struggling to find what kit they should play, since they kind of like nerf Stingray to ground. Then Bomb Rush is like, okay, well, it might be cool, but it's nothing crazy. So people were actually playing like this Genza scope, which has baller, and this kit makes like zero sense for backline in the first place. But it might just be the best kit you have at the moment, which is pretty like insane when you think about it. And yeah, like, people using this, and then you're in the middle of enemies and you die, and that's not necessarily what you want your backline doing, but that's why we have this thing called Heavy Splatling, which I don't think as a main weapon is as impressive as Spatoscope, but just the kit is very important for backline. So that's why I think Heavy Remix is gonna see some raise in popularity, and Spatoscope is maybe gonna go down a bit. But I'm not gonna say that Stingray is completely dead. I don't think so. I think the game special balance is pretty nice right now. So something like Stingray, I don't even want to be too strong, because I think the biggest reason why people were so annoyed about it for a long time is that when I'm using Stingray, I'm basically using it from across the map to get a kill, and it feels like I can do nothing to stop it. Like, I can punish the guy Stingraying if they, especially when you were able to being your spam bubble, but even if they're like opposite side of the map, it feels like I can't do anything against this. It's not like I can punish it. For example, compared to Inkjet, yeah, he's like hovering over me and gonna kill me, but it feels like maybe if I was good enough I could just kill him. But with Stingray it always felt like the opposite. So I think that was for the long time why people are still kind of like feeling Stingray is super strong, just because how annoying it's to die by it, not necessarily how strong it is on its own. But yeah, I'm gonna think we're gonna see Stingray still on maps such as Port Mackerel, on DC and so on. So it's not a dead special for sure. I think this is more balancing by Nintendo. Like, it doesn't need to be the strongest special or anything like that's just stupid, but it still has its uses. But On the other hand, I think Chaucermains is gonna be first to look into other backline options, mainly heavy remix, just for the better gear it offers. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and hope you liked the video, and see you next time.